Happy October 1st. It looks like the government didn't shut down, which I think someone has been saying probably wasn't going to happen, just based on what I was watching and listening to. It's just another year of the boy or the senators, congressman who cried wolf, right? It's something that we're fairly used to in government contracting, which that's part of this video is talking about that. The other part of the video is just addressing something I've seen a lot of on LinkedIn, and it is the anger at either side of the aisle. So some people hate Democrats, some people hate Republicans, and I'm here to tell you a little bit of a secret. So the secret is a lot of this is on purpose drama. It's on purpose drama. And if you have fed into it and are angry at either side, they're winning. Now, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, even though that may be what it sounds like. But I've watched this enough to know that the majority of the folks in Congress work together in private and hate each other in public. It's a lot like professional wrestling, if you want to call it professional wrestling, right? It's kind of like WWE, but in suits and ties and dresses and all that kind of good stuff. So that's a lot what it's like. And I'll tell you two quick stories real quick. Back in the early 2000s, we were looking to hire an attorney to help us with government contracting. And, it was it was probably my first exposure ever to a lobbyist, down on K Street, all that kind of good stuff. And we get to this guy's office. And first of all, they sent us back to his office, and it's bigger than my house, right? Just his room in the building is bigger than my house. And we're sitting there waiting for him, which is part of the pitch, right? You got to wait on the guy. And as we're waiting, I'm looking at all of his military memorabilia and all this kind of good stuff. And what catches my eyes are the photos on the wall. He's got these photos that wrap around the wall of him with everybody in Congress. But the photos that really catch my eye are the photos going back into like the 50s and 60s and all the way up to the 2000s when this happens, of him with every president. And it's not just him at an event with every president. These are photos in intimate settings. I'm like, well, where's this one? And where's that one? And those are all in his basement, and whatever. But there's one photo in particular of him playing the piano, and he's got George Bush Jr. on one side and Bill Clinton on the other side. And I just flat out asked him, I'm like, you guys are drinking, smoking, playing piano. All these guys hated each other. And he was like, Mike, come on. Are you seriously buying that? He was like, publicly, they're at each other's throats. But privately, we have a movie night once a month or so over at my house, talk about old movies and just BS about stuff once a month. And that was really my first exposure to the BS. And he said, it's all an illusion. In fact, he was like, I'm going to show you how much of an illusion this is tonight when we go to dinner. And, I forgot. Before we left his office, he's like, you want to meet somebody? Because sometimes pictures, right? You don't know how true they are. It's like, you want to meet somebody? He takes me down the hall to the copy room. And he's like, have you ever met Ed Nixon? Of course I've never met Ed Nixon, the president's brother, right? And he introduced me to this guy who's 6.5 feet tall or whatever he is. And the guy is sitting there making copies and looks like President Nixon. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? So the guy really did know the people he knew, and, they trusted him that much. And so then we go to dinner, and we get to dinner at the most exclusive, I guess, Chinese restaurant in D.C. I didn't know there was a thing like that. But we get there, and this is how the illusion continues. We sit down in the table that we're like, you walk in the door, and that's the table. It's where everybody can see when you walk in. Like literally everybody. So everybody in the world that's coming to this restaurant, the first thing they're going to see is you, right? And then we sit down, and next thing I know, waiter pulls out of his pocket these chopsticks for everybody. sets them next to each other, or all of us. But the chopsticks for the guy, he pulls his out, and it's got his name on it in gold, right? Part of the illusion. Then throughout the night, as people are coming in, there's congressmen, women, semi-celebrities, all night long, they stop and they talk to him because he's at that table, because that's the table. If you're at that table, that's part of the thing is you stop, say hi like you know each other, whether you know each other or not. Because there's a few people that I was like, you know that guy? And he's like, no, no, no. They just understand if you're at this table, that's just part of what you do, right? It's part of the illusion. And so I'll never forget that, the illusion that is Washington, D.C., that isn't the truth that's going on. Now, do some of these people really hate each other? Oh, yeah. Some of these people really hate each other. But one of the reasons that you don't see, single item spending bills and things like that, which I do believe are really, really good for the country, is because it's a tool. It's a tool. It's a tool to get Americans worked up, especially going into an election season, to want to vote for your party and want to be all in on your party. It's just a tool. And it's an agreed upon thing, kind of like the table at the Chinese restaurant, where, we're going to fight over this. A lot of times they're going to come down to the 11th hour over this. Sometimes we'll shut down the government over this. But this tool is good for both of us because it keeps the money flowing on the back end for those Congress folks. Just the way it is. Now, you may be like, man, that's a jaded look at it. No, that's just a look behind the curtain that I've seen. And look, I'm not a fan of what goes on the political side of things. I'm a fan of the people that support this country and the people that are working in the jobs and the military and even the folks on the help desk or whatever it is for benefits and Social Security and things like that. Those are the people that are keeping the country running, and they are often the innocent victims of a lot of this stuff, and they have no idea that these games are being played in the background. And so, not a fan of political side, big fan of the people that support it, and they shouldn't be pawns in this game. And the other reason you're not going to see people go or want to go to single spending bills is because you can't pork it up, right? You can't put your pet project in there for a museum or a library or whatever in your backyard, because guess what? That's not part of the defense bill. So that's one of the reasons why, or a couple of reasons why, that Congress doesn't like doing that, doesn't want to go that route, because it would mess up a lot of the shell game that you and I get to watch here that looks like professional wrestling. So again, might sound a little jaded, but I've seen it from the inside for many, many years. And this is just what happens once a year, sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a year, because 45 days, guess where we're going to be? We're going to be right back here. We're going to be talking about, is the government going to shut down? Is it not going to shut down? Unless between now and then, everybody, kind of settles whatever they want, and they go ahead and pass things. That's just the way it is. So, sucks, don't like it, and until everybody swaps out and we have new folks, probably going to be that way for a while. So, anyway, have a great weekend.